up-to-date, accurate finance reports that we can use with our customers to bring their accounting into line with our own. So we're having to use some manual fallbacks whilst software patches are being prepared to actually bring us back to where we should be.
How much do you expect to save each year through that change?
I don't have that figure right on the tip of my tongue. I'll have to provide that.
Would you send us that information?
Yes, I will.
And how much is this whole programme costing?
Again, well, because this is a Department for Transport programme, in fact it's a Cabinet Office programme within which we're just a small tiny part. I don't have that, but I can provide it.
Right, if you provide it to us. Is the programme to transfer management of search and rescue helicopter contract to the MCA on track?
Yes, ma'am.
What effect has the closure of Manston Airport had?
The probable closure of Manston Airport has meant that we've had to look for an alternative potential location in South East England to take over from the demise of the Sea King at Wattisham.
And what have you decided you're doing?
We haven't come to a decision yet because there are still question marks on about the availability of Manston and other bases, and so we and Bristow, who is the main contractor, as you're aware, are now looking at all sorts, or have been looking at contingency arrangements. We are confident that by July this year, which is when the service has to kick in, that we will have a solution.
By when?
July 16.
July.
How much capacity were you using at Manston?
Well, we haven't actually used any yet because we don't use Manston.
But if you were to, how much would you use? Would you be able to use there?
We would have whatever is required to service 2 aircraft, 2 helicopters.
2 helicopters.
And that's a 24/7.
24/7 operation then.
Yeah.
And how much would that cost in money to generate that income to Manston if it was still open?
I don't think I understand the question.
Well, to keep helicopters at Manston, you would have to pay them, wouldn't you, to keep them there? So.
Oh, I see what you mean. I don't know. That's something for Bristow's to deal with.
Mr. Fitzpatrick.
To follow up, obviously Manston was the preferred option, but we've been trying to get to the bottom of what's happening at Manston, and the situation is still very confused. And you say, Alan, that you will have a solution by summer. There's not a lot of time to decide to switch if the Manston situation is still mired in difficulty.
Yes, Bristow's, the contractor, have identified solutions that they have got time now to work up by the 1st of July. I mean, clearly that will depend on how late the decision is made on whether Manston or not, but they've got contingency in place.
Would those be temporary contingencies, or if they have to make a decision, would they go with the alternative? And if Manston does reopen, then it would be too late, or would they prefer to go back to Manston?
I think at the moment they're looking at it in phases. I mean, the priority is to get something in place by July. It'll then be a question of what's available and what are the benefits and disadvantages of operating out of an alternative. That's slightly downstream. The key focus of that contract is getting themselves in place by the time Wattisham closes in July 15.
Thanks, Chair.
How many port safety checks has the MCA carried out in the last 12 months?